Should Celtics players, you were a Celtics player, feel motivated or embarrassed by those comments? He doesn't see how his team's going to win?
Well, I mean, look, Brad Stevens, if you love Brooklyn that much, won't you go coach him? Go join the coaching staff. Listen, I played for the Boston Celtics for 8.5 years, all right? I know the definition. It's the city of champions. They have something that's called Celtic pride. That wasn't Celtic pride. And no, I wouldn't want to play with Brad Stevens. How can I go to war with a coach that is sitting up here praising and glorifying an opponent that I possibly could upset? How about saying, hey, we're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready. I know y'all crowning them, but I got enough, and we're going to come to compete. How about saying that, Brad Stevenson? I mean, goddamn, Wick Grossbeck, Steve Pagliuca, Danny Ainge, my guys, this is what we come to? And then, hearing around from the whole Boston area, they like Big Perk. Brad is just a good guy. He's just soft-spoken. It's not in his demeanor. What? What are we talking about? We're trying to win championships. Get some fire up under you. Right now, you should be telling the team, let's go shock the world. You got Jason Tatum, a man who just dropped 50 points the other night in a crucial moment. You still got Kemba Walker. You still got some guys that could go out there and compete and compete in this series with the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, it was just disturbing. I tried to get down with Brad because people, I think he's good with X's and O's, but this right here took me over the top. I'm sorry. A lot of people may not like what I said, but I really don't give a damn, but that was just disturbing to hear. Here I am about to go to war in the series, and I hear my coach going on there and praising and giving flowers like he want to be part of the coaching staff of the Brooklyn Nets. It's completely unacceptable.
Well, Kendrick Perkins, I'd say to you that, number one, I don't agree with you. And the reason I don't agree with you is because of you. Your reaction to it, if you feel that way, I hope the rest of the Boston Celtics feel that way. Because if they feel that way, then Brad Stevens might have achieved what he was after. Basically giving the impression you got no chance. I mean, if you really look at his quote, think about it. He said, if I'm just a general fan, I have a hard time seeing them lose. Well, he's not just a general fan. He's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. So you got to parse words with this, KP. He said if I'm a Generals fan, but he's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. So he's plotting and planning for a way to get around it, even without the services of Jaylen Brown. Look, guys, everybody's stacked. All the odds are stacked against us. Everybody believes that we don't have a snowball's chance in hell. Hell, if I was a fan, I'd be that way too. But I'm the coach, and you're the players. And we could go out here and make history, and we can ruin their season. Here's what we would need to do. And you go about the business of doing it that way. I really don't think it's that big of a deal, what he did. But seeing your reaction, Kendrick Perkins, is what gets me to that point.
Yeah, look, that was going to be my point, Perk. But let me take it to another level here. If I were a fan thing is clear that he's not saying he's a fan. He's saying if I saw it from the outside, I would think these dudes don't have a chance. The question is, Perk, why say it at all? What could he's just being honest? Is he that naive? Is he that stupid? He hasn't been around the league, hasn't been to 3 conference finals. He just blurts it out? No, that's by design. So what could the purpose be? What don't you want to give the other team? You never want to give the other team bulletin board, or nowadays they call it whiteboard material, right? Don't give it to the other team. Why? Because it motivates them. Don't say something that's going to get under their skin unless, as Stephen A. points out, you're Michael Jordan and you're so psychotically competitive, you actually want to motivate the other team to beat them at their best. Most coaches don't want to give the other team motivation. So if you don't want to give the other team motivation because it's bad for you, surely you do want to give it to your own team. And as Stephen A. points out, look at your reaction. They now want to prove Coach wrong. Now, I'll say this, Perk. Ultimately, if you want to say, yeah, do I think it was a good idea or not? No, because Stephen A., Perk's reaction to me is borderline. On the one hand, you would think like motivated, but on the other hand, it could be demoralizing. It could make dudes not want to play for that coach. So the coach has really got to watch it. He's walking a thin line. But is this like his Phil Jackson stuff right now, where he's pushing guys' buttons? We remember Phil Jackson doing stuff like that, motivating his team in different ways through the media, almost taking shots at them. Now, he had a lot of credibility with the championships that Brad Stevens doesn't have, but Brad Stevens has been around a while. He's been a successful coach, and he's trying some psychological tactics here, Perk. That's it.
Yeah, whatever, man. And you know what's even more disturbing right now is that two guys that I respect that go from the old school, that always talk about the old school, the generation of players being soft, and it goes along with the coaches. I know one thing, Stephen A., when you was covering Allen Iverson, you never heard the great Larry Brown go on record and say anything like crazy like this. He was always a competitor. Am I right? Am I right?
You are wrong. You're very, very wrong. Larry Brown used to go like this. I just don't know, Stephen. I don't know what kind of chance we're going to have here, Stephen. We're just going to have to do everything right because, with the odds are stacked against us, Stephen, I just don't know. He used to do that all the time.
Yeah, but that's...
all the time.
Yeah, but that's...
And Allen used to do whatever. Because they wasn't having it.
That's a completely different thing about odds being stacked against us and having a one-on-one and then coming out and saying I would have a hard time seeing them lose. I saw Mike Malone last year against the Clippers, right? When he was down in the series, you remember he kept saying nationally, he kept telling us nationally that, we ain't packing no bags because we ain't going nowhere. We going to another game. Oh, yeah, we got plans on winning this game. Like, that's the coach you want to ride with. I don't know what y'all trying to rock with,
let me say,
but I don't want to hear my coach saying that type of stuff. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I'm trying to go to war with somebody that want to stir the pot, that's letting them know that we coming in as soldiers and we going to war. Whether we win, lose, or draw, this is what it's about to be. It's about to be a dog fight.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.